Have you ever wondered how to make the Django real time? In this video, you are going to learn how to make the Django real time using jQuery AJAX. So if you don't know how to set up a Django project yet, you can pause this video and check out one of my videos on how to set up a full Django project. Link in the comment section. It will help you as you go in this video. So let's get started. Welcome back. To make the Django real time, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to head on to my browser and I'm going to type jQuery CDN. Then you see this link here. I'm going to click on it and copy the first URL there. Then head back to my project. In my HTML file, in the head tag, I'm going to add a script. And the src will be the URL I copied. Alright, so let me quickly walk you through my project. I've created a model called detail, which I've named as city. Alright, I've registered it in my admin page also. So let me go to my server. Okay, 12/admin. Alright, you can see it here, detail, and I already have some detail there. Crown developer, city, Ikorodu. So now we would like to be fetching this real time in our web page, such that when a new detail is being added, either from the back end or from our web page, that is through forms, we'll be seeing it here real time without having to reload the web page. On the norms, the Django is not real time. Each time you want to get a new data that has been entered, you have to reload the web page. So to do that, we have our index.html file here in our static folder, and that's where we're going to be writing our AJAX code. But before that, I'm going to write some view to return the values I am going to be fetching with my AJAX code. So I'm going to say from .models import, I'm going to import that particular model detail. So now I'm going to create a view called values. Then I'm going to pass in the request. So also I'm going to say from the django.http import JSON response. Alright, so now I'm going to create a variable. Let me say returned value should be equals to this detail.object.all. Now I'm going to return a JSON response. Now I'm going to be creating another variable. Let me call it returned value also. Returned value. So what are we returning? We're returning a list. Alright, we're returning a list of, so we're going to call this returned value dot values. Okay, so we can give it, let me get returned, then call it returned data. So you can call this also return data. You can give it whatever name you wish. So now we're going to, after creating the view, we're going to create a URL path for it. So creating our path, so we want to get value. Let me call this values. So view dot values, was that the, okay, that was the view name we gave it, and let's give it a name, values. So this way we are going to be making our request to using our jQuery that is going to be fetching it real time. To make the Django real time, we are going to be writing our AJAX requests in our index.js. So I've written out some steps on how to make the Django real time using jQuery AJAX. And here are the step. The first thing is to write a code to check if the web page is loaded. So to do that, we are going to use the $sign, then say document dot ready. Then we are going to have function. This line of code check if our web page is loaded completely. Note there's no name attached to this function. On a nums, when we are writing a function, you give it a name, but this does not have a name and it is called anonymous function. We mostly use anonymous function when we want our function to run for a specific time, or we do not need to call that function again in our code. It makes our code more clean and easy to read. So after writing a code to check if the web page or document is loaded, the next thing is to write a named function. All right, so writing a named function, I'm going to have function, whatever name you wish, but let me give my receive data. All right, so now this is my named function that I've written. So let me just add this comment here, the receive data ends here. So now after writing our named function, the next thing is to make a server request. So now to make a server request, we're going to write the $sign dot AJAX, and have this bracket here. Then inside we're going to have our curly bracket. Then we press enter. When we want to make a server request, we're going to need our URL. Then with this semicolon sign, then a quote. Then the URL we are going to be fetching from, that is the URL that is returning the JSON response. That is values. We're just going to copy it. Then that is the URL we are fetching from. Then we're going to have our comma. So let's check the next thing. It says undo the server response. So we're going to create our success function and also our error function. So heading here, we're going to have success. Then we're going to have function. We are also going to use anonymous function. Then now this success function, I'm going to call a function, but a function which I'm going to define later. You can give it whatever name you wish. Let me call mine success return. It's all right. So now I'm going to have a comma here. All right. So the next thing also, we are going to need our error. You can see it here. Create your error function. So error, we're also going to be using anonymous function, but we can just alert if there's an error. Failed to fetch. It's all right. So this is, after we write a code to check if the web page is loaded, we wrote a named function and we made a server request. So this is the server request we are making. So at the end, let me write it here. The server request ends here. All right. Now, after creating the error function, it says we should show data on the page. Now, we created a function in our success function called success return. So we need to create that function now. I've not defined the function. We just call the function here. So after the receive data, that is after the named function you are creating, I put the comment so that we can easily know what we are doing, so as to not be clumsy. So after that, that's where we're going to define our success function. That's where we're going to define our success return. So I'm going to say function success return. Then I'm going to pass in a parameter. Let me call mine right. So right, so now the first thing, when we are creating our function, we need to take note of where we want to display all this text, all the data we are fetching from, where we want to display them in real time. So in my index.html, I have a div here that has an ID of return value. So this is where I want to be attaching those data. So I'm going to copy that. Then inside the success return, I'm going to have and then open it, use an hashtag, then paste the name of the ID dot empty. Now after empty it, the next thing, I'm now going to call this parameter that I have here. So I'm going to say write. Let me bring this down. Write dot for each. I'm going to have create a function, anonymous function again, but it's going to have some parameter. So let me just give it right again. Then I'm going to have this. So I can create a variable by saying var temp should be equals to write dot. Now I'm going to go to my models. Here's my model, and I'm going to call what I want to retrieve from the model. That's name. So I'll say write dot name. So right now, this is where it ends. The receive data ends. That is the named function. So after the success function, I'm going to call it also. I'm going to call the function itself receive data. Then I'll set interval receive data, then 1 2 3. If you don't understand how this set interval work, I have created a video tutorial on JavaScript timing function. You can check that out on my YouTube page. So now let's confirm that this is actually working. Now I'm going to say console.log. I want to console.log the data I'm getting. But before then, in this success function, I'm going to pass a parameter here called response. Then in the function I'm creating here, I'm going to say response dot. Now I'm going to go to my views. The variable I pass those data into, I'm going to copy it. That is return data. So I'm going to response dot return data. And here I'm going to be consoling.log response. So let's check it out. So let's check the console. So sorry, console.log response. Right, so now we can see it's returning some data here or values here. Now let's go to our database. Let me head on to the database. So now in my database, I have name, crown developer, and city Ikorodu. So let me add a name also, Adeola. Then city, let me just add Lagos. Okay, so now let's see the values it is returning. We can see it here, return value. We see crown developer. So that's confirm that this code is running. Now we can see we set it that it should be fetching every 1 second. We can make it smaller than that, but let's just say continue. Now since we want to append it to this div here, return value. So let's say we want to create it as a list. Now we created a variable called temp. So we're going to copy this and dot return value. Then we're going to append dot append. Then we're going to append the temp. That is this variable we called. But before then, let's just quickly make this more nice. Since we're appending to our HTML, so okay, let me copy this. Let me cut this. Then have a UL. Then so this ID will be in our UL, so we can return it as a list. So I'm going to have li, then close it off an li, closing tag for li. Okay, then I'm going to have this there. Sorry, I'm going to have this write.name, but this time around it's going to be in this curly brackets, and I'm going to have a $sign with it. So it's going to be returning it as a list. So you can see it, crown developer, Adeleye, Adeola. Now we can reduce the timing. Let's say I make it 100. So how do we confirm if this is real time? So let me just open this in another browser, and we're going to put it side by side and compare. So let me go to my admin page. So this is my admin page. It's okay. So I'm making it side by side. So this is the browser here. So now let me add a detail. Now this detail, you might have created a form where user will be inputting it, but I'm not creating forms now. You can check out my video on Django CRUD operation. So let's quickly add a detail. Let's say mighty developer, then city Abuja. Let's see, put Lagos, then let's save. So we can see it immediately, it was added. So let's add others. Henry, city Ikorodu. Let's save it. Immediately it's going to be added. So we can use this AJAX to make our Django real time. So please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. I will be posting more exciting and engaging coding content and tutorial. Don't forget to click the notification bell and also subscribe. Thank you very much.